The chair moves to Mr. Mullin. Mr. Mullin, are you here?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, guys, we've been talking about broadband for rural parts, and I just want to point out I live it every day. I live in the middle of nowhere, and then you turn and you go another mile to get to my house. The nearest town to me is maybe a 15-minute drive. With weather like we're having today, it's a 30-minute drive. Where my kids go to school, it's a 30-minute drive. I'm on that last mile to which we talk about. And in less than 50%, literally less than 50% of my district has broadband coverage. And yet almost my entire district is out of school, and have been out of school for a week, not because of COVID, because of the winter weather. I have 6 kids as we speak that's upstairs around our kitchen table, around our kitchen bar, that not a drinking bar, but one you eat at, that's doing their homework as we speak. And it wasn't until last year, December of last year, that our electric co-op actually brought us broadband down here. Until then, we used a hotspot, and a hotspot's not reliable. A hotspot is not something you can rely on, and not something you can do your work on. And especially if you're live streaming your classes, it's nearly impossible. But we have an issue. We have an issue in the rural parts of the country. We have an issue with our small internet providers, or ISPs, that are having to make a hard decision because we have companies like Netflix and Amazon that pays literally nothing to live stream their videos and to bring them that last mile. And especially the middle mile to us. And when you start dealing with this, when you're dealing about wireless or fixed wireless in rural parts of the country, I guess, Mr. Addleston, do you see a role that our rural broadband providers play in this? Because a lot of them are having to make a decision to either upgrade their system or get farther out there because they can't keep up the live stream demand from Netflix and Amazon that pays nothing to deliver their product to customers' homes, but yet customers pay for it.
I could agree with you more. I mean, these companies, look where the profits are going, look where the market cap has gone up. It's not in, the wireless carriers. It's the companies that don't pay anything for infrastructure.
Right.
They don't invest $30 billion a year like we do, that reap far outsized profits. And meanwhile, we're competing. You don't see any ads for Google, use us, not DuckDuckGo on the Super Bowl, but you see all of the wireless carriers fighting and offering consumers more megabits for less, down 98% increase in price per megabit since 2011. I mean, we've invested enormous amounts, and there's a lot of talk today about ISPs and pricing. And in fact, consumers are getting a great deal now. Rural Americans, it is a tougher business model out there, and things like RDOF matter. When the FCC puts out $20 billion to help fill that gap, and universal service needs to be targeted to help build out in rural America, and an infrastructure bill that would help, that business case to get us to that last mile in rural America is really essential. I hope we can get bipartisan support for an infrastructure package that will close that gap in rural America and get access out there.
Can you speak of the major impact that the permitting reforms laid out in the Republican package would have in this cost?
Well, every bit of cost is sort of, essential to reduce, because there isn't enough capital to go around. I mean, this is what we're talking about here. $30 billion is a massive investment we make,
right,
virtually every year, but yet it's not enough. And we're talking about the need and the shortfall in rural America. So every dime that goes to expensive and costly delays is one dime less going to a worker from CWA, or one dime less going to getting broadband out, to actually investing it in the network so we can get further into rural America. So we very much appreciate the thoughtful consideration. I think, most rural areas, frankly, are a little bit better about being reasonable. They recognize they need the investment. We sometimes have much tougher time in urban and in suburban districts, frankly, getting, permitting done. But some rural areas are tough too. And, like I say, every dime that's saved even in a suburban area on needless, fees, et cetera, why would you tax broadband when it's saving people's lives every day, connecting
right.
people to telehealth?
I agree. So let me ask you, would you support adding like an FCC study to the Affordable Internet Act, HR 7302? which you spoke about in your testimony?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more data we get on this, the better. So I think that would be a useful tool.
Okay. Well, with that, I'm out of time. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you, sir.
Gentleman yields back, and we thank him. Let's see. Next is